What your favorite Zelda says about you. Skyward Sword. You play this game like a teenage boy that found his wiener for the first time but clearly doesn't know how to use it. And yes, I said wiener, let's just move on. You fling it left, you fling it right, you fling that Wii everywhere just waiting for that lightning strike to finally happen. You're the middle child of your family because you've been handed down the motion controls from Twilight Princess, but then you introduce the stamina wheel for later games. You're also the black sheep of the family because you like some of the weirder Zelda items like the bug grabber or the gusty blowy blows. But it's all okay because you got the whip. Everybody likes the whip. You like to brag about how you set up the Zelda timeline and how you have the very first story in all of the Zelda games. But honestly, you should be bragging more about Groose. You value characters and story over everything else, especially your wardrobe. I mean, come on, who is wearing sweatpants and chainmail? You got some deep, dark thoughts down below because you get a little excited at the idea of yeeting yourself off one of those sky islands and your bird maybe not catching you. And as always, follow for more goofy Zelda stuff. What your favorite Zelda says about you. Wind Waker. Your favorite expression is, "Not all who wander are lost." But that's only because you spent most of your time completely lost. You are the human equivalent to a golden retriever, but you don't take yourself too seriously, even to your own detriment sometimes. I would say you're a swimmer, but let's face it, the second you get out of that boat, you're lasting as long as I did on prom night. You do realize that having emotions on your face isn't showing weakness, but actually builds character. You are much more interested in exploring the world rather than being stuck in some dungeons and using some cool weapons. You have one of the best companions in all of Zelda, but you will always be overshadowed by Midna because nobody's drawing sexy pictures of a boat. You were always told that the graphics weren't going to hold up and that they weren't mature enough for a Zelda game. But to be honest, you've been sandwiched between two massive tryhards in Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, so you fit the bill perfectly. You are most likely the comic relief to your family, and while you don't always hit the mark, you are a necessity among the rest. And as always, follow for more goofy Zelda shit. What your favorite Zelda says about you. Link's Awakening. You're like an old-time Christmas cartoon, but under all that cheer and glamour, you are completely okay with wasting every single person around you. Seriously, what did Marion and her father, Papa Mario, ever do to you? Majora's Mask and Breath of the Wild fans think they have the most unique games in the franchise, but you know that you're one of the most unique because you have a game that includes side-scrolling, jumping, and a chain jump. You don't like things to be too challenging because, let's face it, the dungeons in this game, they're not the hardest in the series. You're most likely OCD or a perfectionist because your room or desk looks like this map, perfectly laid out and with no space wasted. You probably wandered through the map multiple times just trying to solve the trade sequence, but really not caring because you just love living in that bright, cheerful little world. But you'll never get the credit for the good atmosphere because you're not as dark or as edgy as some of the other Zelda games. But you don't care because you get to go through this game with a chain chomp. Like and follow for more goofy Zelda stuff, or swing by the stream and hang out with us during the Tears of the Kingdom weekend. See ya. What your favorite Zelda says about you. Breath of the Wild. You most likely have severe ADHD because you spend hours hopping from point to point, changing your goals constantly, but really making no progress whatsoever. You're probably a little OCD or a bit of a completionist because you've gotten almost every shrine, the final tunic, and all of those stupid Korok seeds. I mean, seriously, what the hell? You prefer a sleek design, which is probably why on your first playthrough you grabbed the stealth outfit and never looked back. You probably saw one TikTok of a guy wind bombing his way across the entire map and you thought, I can do that, only to find out 30 minutes later that you haven't gotten any closer. You want to move to a sunny place because every time it rains around you, you get a little bit of PTSD. You probably took your sweet time exploring the map, trying to find every little thing that you could without going completely insane. But it took forever, and honestly, you probably needed to go a little bit quicker. Follow for more goofy Zelda shit, and if you want to, you're more than welcome to swing by and hang out with us during the Tears of the Kingdom weekend. See ya. What your favorite Zelda says about you. The Minish Cap. You are all about quality over quantity because you reuse the same aspects in every single room and every single dungeon over and over again. One for big, one for small. The R button on your Switch or Game Boy Advance is completely worn down because you spend all of your time rolling everywhere in this game. You can be a bit overly joyous, but your personality matches the bright sprites of this game perfectly. You're so gullible that you believed your first partner when they told you, size isn't everything, and that's okay. You just keep believing that. You love yourself so much that you believe the world needs more than just one of you, that it needs 4 of you, proving to me that you prefer quantity over quality. Wait a minute. Aw, crap baskets. Anyway, follow for more goofy Zelda shit, and I'll see you in the next one. Your favorite Zelda says about you. Twilight Princess. You think you're dark and mysterious when in reality, you really just have a comb over and listen to a lot of Fallout Boy. You're very submissive and you like that the cutscenes tell you exactly where to go and what exactly you have to do. You prefer big bombastic situations that are easily top 5 Zelda moments. I mean, look at this shit. You most likely didn't spend a lot of time playing with your pets because you were too busy doing your own thing. Let's face it, you barely spent time riding your horse in this game unless it was required. You spent all your time playing as the wolf, but all of that can be forgiven because at the end of the day, you have incredible taste in dungeons, bosses, and more importantly, weapons. You most likely enjoy double claw-shotting your way through this game or Beyblading your way through this game Tony Hawk style. You're also into the most brutal S&M because that ball and chain is turning you on in ways that you didn't think was possible. Oh, and you like wolves. Like, a little too much. Like you're a furry, which is totally cool. Like and follow for more goofy Zelda stuff. What your favorite Legend of Zelda game says about you. A Link to the Past. You lack all directional skills, so you need to see everything from the top down. You like a simple yet detailed map, and you enjoy good dungeon design over good boss creativity. Your attention span is just long enough to handle the dungeons with ease, but you have so much ADD that you have to bomb every single wall that you find along the way. You've most likely beat the game so many times that the only way it's a challenge anymore is if you randomize every single thing in every single part of the game. You most likely enjoy a nice glass of bourbon or a nice whiskey with no mixers and no ice and no chasers because you like things the original way that they came out back in 1992. Don't change it if it ain't broke. Oh, and you're old. What your favorite Zelda game says about you. Majora's Mask. You're very similar to the birds in Finding Nemo because you will not shut up about how great this game is. You love working under pressure. It's like you were given one night to write a story. So you stole all the characters from your older sibling, the Ocarina of Time, took a whole bunch of mushrooms, wrote the story about a giant moon with a massive face plummeting towards the planet and how everyone only had 3 days to live. And somehow, that shit worked. You like to let those dark, intrusive thoughts take control so you can get a massive A for creativity, even if sometimes you didn't quite hit the mark. Oh, there's a boss you get to Sonic the Hedgehog your way through? That sounds cool. What's the next boss? Oh, it's a fish. You have a tendency to overlook the weak points in most games, like, I don't know, 50% of the masks in this game. Now, don't get me wrong, you love the highlights, the Goron mask, the Deku mask, Zora mask, but then you forget about the other 50% of the masks that are only used once and then completely forgotten. But none of them compare to your favorite mask, the dancing mask. You don't like people that are too annoying, which is why you shot Navi and decided to bring Tattle in, but you don't care about being traditional. You don't want your dungeons to have traditional items, which is why all the bow and arrows are pretty boring. You want the world to be full and have a ton of atmosphere, and you're quite obsessed with death, which is why you're also okay wearing the faces of a lot of dead people. So what does that say about you? You clearly have no issues with people who own white vans and sell candy because you're clearly working with one of them. And you've probably discovered a new kink by shoving a princess into a bottle. Follow for more goofy Zelda shit, and in case you didn't know, this is all in good fun, so don't freak out, or I'll come shove you in a bottle. What your favorite Zelda game says about you. The Ocarina of Time. Get a bottle of white wine and a pumpkin spice latte because you're more basic than a white girl tripping balls at Coachella. This is the safe pick and you're okay with it because it does a lot of great things like bosses, weapons, and most of the dungeons. Hey, we can exclude the water temple and we can also exclude how boring Hyrule Field is because good God, that place is barren. You definitely have selective hearing because there is no sane individual that can listen to Navi yell, "Hey, listen!" for 20 hours without losing their mind. But at the same time, you also enjoy listening to sweet bangers like Gerudo Valley or The Lost Woods. You definitely have the Goron Sword fetch quest memorized, which is easily the best fetch quest in Zelda. You're in denial about how annoying the water temple can be with the boots. Seriously, screw that temple. And you often flex at the end of the game by beating Ganondorf with a bottle. But next time, try beating him with a nut. It is the safe pick, but many consider it the best game of all time for a good reason. Like and follow for more goofy Zelda shit, or swing by the stream and tell me I'm wrong. What your favorite Zelda says about you. Tears of the Kingdom, spoiler-free edition. All of the other games on your Switch are completely useless because this is the only thing you're going to be playing for the entire month of May. You do realize the similarities between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but you don't care. You're just happy with the bigger map, the more dense areas, and all those tiny little Koroks to punish. You either try to save every single Korok because they're so damn cute, or you're trying to tie them all together, put them on a rocket, and see if you can grow trees on the moon. You started calling Ganondorf daddy after the third trailer and you've not looked back since. You've seen all the cool TikToks of people traversing the world with tanks and rockets and flying machines, but you're still trying to build the most creative boat you possibly can. And yes, I'm speaking from first-hand experience. You most likely thought you needed a fan to make the gliders work in this game, so you dropped the glider down on the track and decided to go get the fan to see if it all worked. But by the time you came back, that glider had left you like your middle school date did on Valentine's Day. As always, follow for more goofy Zelda shit, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!